Episode 26, the Amateur Radio Podcast, Faux Time. We got a lot of great stuff you're going to enjoy. Like what? Oh, how about Dayton 2015, Hamvention, Man on the Street, coming up.
AmateurRadio15.com presents Faux Time, the other ham radio podcast, sponsored by Main Trading Company. Find them online at mtcradio.com. Now, here's your host, Cale Nelson, K4CDN.
So the Hamvention has closed, and I'm going to date the episode. It's the 18th of May, 2015. I'm Cale, your host, K4CDN. I'm in the shack, and it's hot in South Carolina already. I understand it was pretty hot and muggy this past weekend up at the Dayton Hamvention in Dayton, Ohio. Now, how do we know that? Well, our dear friend Jeremy, KF7IJZ, spent his 3-day weekend there on site at the Dayton Hamvention, and we're going to share with you some of his man-on-the-street interview material coming up in just a couple of minutes. Not only was Jeremy there, our friends from Paris, Texas drove up. Around 900-plus miles to make the trip. They set up their booth, and according to Richard, they sold more radios than they've ever sold in their history. We'll hear from him in a few minutes, but don't forget, they didn't sell them all, and they've got some for you. If you need some gear, they're home now. They're back from Dayton and ready to hit the ground rolling. You can find them at mtcradio.com, mtcradio.com, and remember to let them know that you heard about them here on Faux Time. All right, so Jeremy, share with us what's going on at the Dayton Hamvention 2015.
All right, folks, this is Jeremy, KF7IJZ, coming to you from the Ball Arena at the Dayton Hamvention 2015. The lines were long this morning to get into the flea market. We had a little bit of rain. Lines were long to get into the arena, and the activity is hopping. Let's run around and see who we can talk to. All right, folks, this is Jeremy, KF7IJZ, coming to you from the Sierra Radio Systems booth with George, KJ6VU. I got that right. I always forget your call sign. It's the J's and the 6s. So we're just here at the start of Dayton 2015. How are things going so far?
Hey, Jeremy. Things are really good. It's a big crowd as usual. Last night, we started out at the FDIM QRP event in their vendor night. We set up our new Pactena also, showed it off, had a lot of interest, so a lot of people there. And I'm sure today it's going to be really crowded as usual.
Wonderful. So were you there when Elecraft made their big announcement?
No, I didn't see it. I heard about it on the email reflector, and I emailed Wayne, and I said before the announcement, hey, what's the new announcement? And, of course, his response was, tune in on Thursday.
A lot of vendors do that. So I know you're going to be busy here at the booth with this and also with the new Pactena with Nick N3WG, but what are you hoping to get out of the booth and go see while you're at Dayton?
For me, I think the thing I want to see is what the uptake is on the new digital modes, looking at C4FM radios, looking at what's new in D-Star, maybe the DMR. I don't have DMR equipment, so it's interesting to see where that's going. And of course, I'm real interested in the portable QRP stuff. I'm going to take a good look at some of the CW keys by Kenton Bigali. I want to check out some of the high-end keys and see what they're like.
Yeah, there's another vendor here, and I forget their name, that has really awesome QRP portable keys that's usually a couple aisles over from Bigali. I recommend you check out. It's like N3ZP or something like that, but they make really good stuff. And what I like about them is you can get them in the Iron Man paint scheme, which, okay, that's not important to performance, but it looks cool. Well, I wish you guys luck, and we'll check in with you later to see how the Pactena interest is going.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks. All right, I'm here at the Yaesu booth with Chris N0CSW from Yaesu talking about System Fusion. Chris, how has the response with System Fusion been since you guys have released it?
We've had a lot more growth than expected. I can't actually say the numbers right at the moment, but we have just around a little bit over 2,000 repeaters on the market.
That is amazing. I know you guys were pretty smart in releasing repeaters and making the infrastructure more affordable at the get-go, and I know a lot of people that took advantage of that, and I'm excited. I have my first Fusion radio on me now. I understand you guys are releasing a new handheld and a new mobile this year at Dayton.
Yes, we got the FT2DR, which is the world's first touchscreen handheld, and we also have the FTM100DR, which is a single receiver version of the 400, which also has a dot matrix monochromatic display on it. So it doesn't have the color screen, It's a little bit cheaper because it has a single receiver in it, but there's still some innovative features on it, some new features that are revolutionary to the market. So we're very proud of every radio that we release. We keep putting something in it that nobody else has, like touch screens, LED indicators that indicate either digital or analog. There's always going to be something in a Yaesu radio that's going to be very innovative.
Very good. Now, is the 100 still going to have APRS on board?
It does have APRS, so the full suite of analog features are in there, as well as C4 FM digital.
Well, that's really amazing. So anything else that's coming out?
Not at the moment. We will have some releases in the very near future. Yaesu is going to continue to develop our product line. We'll be one of the manufacturers that's there on the cutting edge of technology. So you could expect to keep seeing that from Yaesu.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good hamvention.
Thank you.
Thank you. I am standing here at the Ham Source booth with Dan Gravereau, N1ZZ, the original founder of West Mountain Radio. How you doing, Dan?
I'm just doing fine, and good morning.
Good morning to you. So I see you guys have a lot of awesome power products, things that allow power pole enabled, allow you to run multiple devices, some portable stuff for those who work in the field. Tell us what you have today.
Well, we have quite a few portable products. We have a small meter that measures voltage and current, and it does so very accurately. It handles 40 amps, and it's a wonderful thing to have around your shack and also around your car if you're going to measure your ham radio set in a car as a mobile setup. Also, we also have a small power strip. It's 1 in and 4 out, but it's got a very nice bright LED meter, also very handy to put in your car, because it'll tell you if your car voltage is okay and gives you 4 outputs to run all of your equipment. And we also have some more powerful devices. We have a battery backup system. We have 2 of them. We have a small one. I'll start with the big one first. It's more fun to talk about the Cadillacs than it is about the small Chevrolets. But we have a big battery backup system. It's called the EasyGate 80, and it handles 80 amps. And how it works as follows. It's a 12-volt system, so you hook your power supply to it, and you hook your battery to the other input. And whichever voltage is greater goes to the output. So typically your battery is sitting at about 13.5 volts, and your power supply is sitting at 13.8. And so the output comes from the power supply. But as soon as the power goes out, at the speed of electrons, it switches to the battery, and then it runs your equipment. Now, when the power comes back on again, at the speed of electrons, it switches back to the power supply. But as a bonus, it charges your battery back up from the power supply. And we also have a small one that does the same thing, but it only handles 40 amps. But the big one has meters on it to measure the battery voltage and the charging current.
So for that big one, what is the maximum charge current that will come out?
20 amps. But it depends upon your battery. So that if your battery is really almost dead, it'll do 20 amps. But as your battery charges up, it'll taper off in a safe manner so that it'll charge it properly. And then it switches to a float charge. So it'll peak charge it to up to 20 amps, but then it will click off when the voltage gets high enough. It'll click off and give you a float charge, maintaining 13.5 volts forever on the battery.
So are they 3-stage charging algorithms or 4-stage?
Well, they're 4-stage, but really the 3 stages are active. The only 4th stage that we have is that checks for a dead battery. It checks to see if under a trickle charge it'll go up to 10 volts. And if it does, it assumes that all cells are okay, and then it clicks to a bulk charge.
All right, so for both those units, the big one and the little one, about how much do they run?
Well, the large one is $180, and the little one is $70. And the $70 one only has a trickle charger in it, not a 4-stage charger.
Okay, good to know. So since you're at Hamvention, is there anything you're excited about seeing while you're here?
I'm always excited about looking at the power amplifiers because at my age, I like to turn my power up. There's some really good power amps made overseas that are all solid state. I think that's great. And I love looking at SDR equipment because SDR receivers and transmitters take advantage of the new technology and the high-powered computers, which is really great.
So right now, what is your favorite software-defined receiver or radio?
I'm not sure what my favorite one is, but what I enjoy the most are the little tiny software receivers that you take home and build yourself. They are phenomenal, and it gives you the ability to program, yourself in an exciting manner and get incredible signal-to-noise ratio in the receivers. But I don't really know what my favorite one is. That's why I'm here.
And I've noticed there are a lot of new companies this year selling both computer-attached and standalone units, so it's getting really excited for SDRs in general.
And I agree, and I can't wait to go and look around and take some home. What is so great is that my friends and family, relatives, enjoy putting things together and working on their computers. So this brings ham radio and computer together and is very, very satisfying.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for your time. What is your website?
The website is hamsource.com, and really they carry an awful lot of stuff just besides the equipment that I talked about.
Outstanding. Well, we look forward to it. Thank you so much for the time. Have a great Hamvention.
Thank you so much.
All right, folks, I am here with two hams enjoying Hamvention. Go ahead and tell me your name, your call sign, and whether you've been here before.
Mike Kruger, call sign's K9MJK, and this is my first time here.
My name's Steve Hall, AC9MM, and I was here last year.
All right, and where are you guys traveling from to get here?
Chicago, Illinois.
We drove together.
Excellent. So what do you guys think so far?
It's a good. I guess I would call it a ham fest. It's a little bit more than most of the regular ham fest, the local ones. Lots to see. Everything from full spectrum of the stuff in the flea market to the newer production items in the internal area.
Yeah, if you want to see something, this is the place to see it. If you're looking for something in particular, this is the place. So far, the weather's been great. We started off at the flea market. It was nice and cool. And now the sun came out, and we went inside. So it's perfect weather so far. It's supposed to rain, but that's what the indoors are for.
So out of curiosity, was there something on your shopping list that you came to get?
I bought my Flex radio before I came here. That would have been the shopping list item, but I purchased it a month ago.
I have nothing to buy. I just came to visit and hang out.
How many times have you been to Hamvention?
This is my second.
So what keeps bringing you back?
I walk through here and I see a bunch of people that I know. This is generally the only place where I'll see some of them. And it's good to talk and hang out. You get to talk. If you have any questions, you can get it answered here. And anything you need to talk about or want to talk about as far as ham radio, and just catch up. It's like a family reunion for ham radio.
Outstanding. Well, guys, thank you so much for the time. Take care and safe travels. All right, I am here with Ian N8IK, a good friend from my old club, the Alexandria Amateur Radio Club. And this is one of the things I love about Dayton. You get to run into old friends, and it's like no time has passed. How you doing, Ian?
Yeah, very good, Jeremy. Yeah, this is my 15th time to Hamvention, I think. I only missed it 1 year because I had a doctor's appointment I couldn't move. So, it is what it is when you get old. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying it like most hams here. I'm going to get in trouble, I'm sure. Thinking about a new Elecraft K3S that just got released. Been looking at a K3 for a long time, and the specs are phenomenal, and about time to do major damage to the credit card.
It pretty much is the radio, isn't it?
Yeah, all the contesters love it. It's a great field day radio because it's lightweight. Some people bitch about the 12-volt power supply that the IMD on it is not what it could be, but that's not what this radio was designed for. It's if they went to 48-volt finals, and maybe, but the specs are so amazing that the receiver and the transmitter's caught up with the receiver as far as amazingness. So I think I'm going to take the plunge.
Outstanding. So I know you guys are out here as a club. You guys come out every year. And one of the things that we got asked a lot before I came out here is what is here for a new ham, or what keeps bringing you back?
Well, like you mentioned, seeing folks that we know, either locally or on the air. These are where you make the eyeball QSOs, so to speak. Folks you talk to all the time, but can't attach a face to a call sign. I go out a day early with W9TCE, Ted, and we hit the Air Force museums. That's seems like aircraft are a big part of ham radio too for some reason. Both have radios in them, but a lot of folks are interested in aircraft too. And that Air Force Museum over at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is awesome. They're putting up a new hangar number 4, I think now, or 5. But that'll be open for next to Hamvention, we think. So that's always a good time. And it's not too far of a drive from the Washington, D.C. area. it takes a day, leisurely day's drive to get here. We got 25,000 of our closest friends here, so it's a good time. We get to eat the fair food that they have here, but we seem to survive it every year.
Outstanding. Well, Ian, thank you so much. Good luck with that new radio.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like everything else in ham radio, everything's a learn, and new toy every year. Can't have too many radios. That's one of the rules of ham radio. So I'm going to do my part for the local economy.
Outstanding. Good luck.
Thanks.
One of the things I will definitely say about Dayton is it is a dynamic place. Vendors that were here in years before are not here this year, and their spots are taken by new vendors. One of the things that is definitely surprising is how many software-defined radio and receiver companies there are here. Generally, we keep a pretty good eye on that stuff, but honestly are seeing a lot of folks we've never heard of, and I look forward to trying to talk to some of them. I am standing here with Eric, Whiskey Hotel 6 Echo Echo Yankee, all the way from Hawaii, a listener of the Photime Amateur Radio Podcast. Eric, how you doing?
Hey, real good. I'm really enjoying the Hamfest here.
So this is your first time, right?
Yes, it is.
How long have you been an amateur?
Since July of 2013.
So what do you think so far?
I love it, especially where I'm at. Everything's DX from there, so it's been a lot of fun talking to the different countries and making a lot of different contacts around the world.
So what have you bought that you couldn't live without?
Here this time or in general?
Right here this time.
Well, I ended up buying another Samlex power supply for travel, so I don't have to unhook the one for my base station every time I go out. And then I had a bit of an impulse buy and bought a straight key, and I'm planning on learning CW.
Outstanding. Have you gone to any forums or attended any of the other events here?
I've been to a couple of the forums so far. Not all that hot so far, but there was a good one. It was a ham. I can't think of it. It's the ham broadcast, a podcast, at a town hall meeting, and it was pretty funny listening to the guys, Bob Heil and Gordo.
Oh, outstanding. So do you think you're going to start coming back on a more regular basis?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and definitely be coming back. Probably not every year, but just due to cost. But yeah, I'll definitely be coming back.
Outstanding. Anything you want to tell our listeners?
No, it's just been great meeting folks here and meeting the folks from the other ARF hams from AR15.com. It's been a really good experience.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Great. Thank you.
All right, I am here with Wolf River Coils with Terry N9A0T, one of the founders of this company. I ran into this company at FrostFest in Richmond, Virginia earlier this year, and they make some very high-quality PVC loading coils for portable field expedient antennas. Terry, how you doing at Dayton this year?
Oh, very good. Kind of stay dry, like normal.
So is this your first year at Dayton?
No, it's not. We've been at Dayton a few times.
So how long have you guys been around?
We've been doing this for about 5 years now.
So tell us about the products that you guys have for sale.
Okay, we make pretty much a line of, we call them silver bullet line of antenna coils. We have them to go from 10 through 40 meters. We also have a 10 through 80 meter coil, which is basically a mobile type coil. They could be used for portable. Some people have used them for backyard type thing where they just are in an antenna restricted area. You can also run a wire off it as well, too, and use it in an attic installation type thing. Then we also make a vertical antenna that's on the same concept of our coil, but it's a full-size vertical, about 17 feet tall. And right now we just come along with a rotatable dipole now that we've got that works on 30, 40, or 60 meters. And it's a low power, it's up to about 300 watts, but basically it gives you some kind of advantage by having a rotatable dipole on 60 meters.
So what do I mount that to get it up in the air?
Okay, with the rotatable dipole, you either put on top of a beam if you have a tower structure already with the beam, or if you just want to just put it on a tripod on a house or something like that. Some of the gentlemen that have used our rotatable dipole already has done just that, where they just have it on a fixed location, basically pointing towards the north and south, so the main lobe is towards Europe. So that's the best for them.
Outstanding. So for a new ham who's interested in going out and operating portable, what do you recommend for them to start with from your product line?
Well, if they're going to go portable, we have a nice little tabletop antenna we call it. It's a TIA antenna, which consists of a collapsible whip, a mini tripod, a Wolf River 1000 coil, and a counterpoise. And something like that you can set up either on a picnic table, if somebody's in an apartment complex, you can actually just put it in the backyard and run it like that. Works very well.
So what bands does that cover?
That'll cover 10 through 80 meters.
Outstanding. So, yeah, you guys have a website, right? What is that?
Yes, we do. We have a website. It's www.wolfrivercoilsllc.com.
Wonderful. So, Terry, now, when you're here at Dayton, is there anything that you're looking for to buy?
Actually, I already did. I bought myself a couple more radios, which my wife doesn't know about yet. But and of course, we're still trying to sell some old ones. But that's what we kind of look for. I always like to look at new motivation. And last year, we bought some new mobile rigs to go with the coils and things, and kind of keep testing them up. We do run the counties and stuff. So anything we do in the motorhome and keep on running, that's what we look for.
Outstanding. Well, have a great Dayton. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, I am here with Cameron, another friend of mine from the Alexandria Radio Club, Cameron AK4CM. This is also your first Dayton, correct?
That's correct. First trip out.
So Cameron was a good friend of mine because you were my D-Star Elmer, in effect. He was very active with D-Star back in the D.C. area and helped me learn quite a bit. He helped me build my first hotspot and inspired me to do so. You still playing around with D-Star?
Yeah, still messing around with it a little bit. Activity has dropped off a little bit with friends moving in and out of the area, but such as the nature of living in the national capital region. But I am definitely still active with it.
So with this being your first Dayton, what have you thought? What have you liked? What you didn't like?
So I'll be honest, this Hamfest is great for having the opportunity to experience new operating modes and new activities that the smaller Hamfests just don't have. They can't draw the attention to the technology. So D-Star is a perfect example. Their presence here is unreal. 3 or 4, between ICOM and unaffiliated groups. Anything you want to know about D-Star is here. I've also explored the AMSAT booth and some of their activities, but I think what makes Dayton is the ability to have every operating mode, every activity that you could even conceive of in amateur radio is present here.
Outstanding. So do you think this is going to be something you'll start coming back to?
Oh, absolutely. I think I kind of noticed this morning, I think the concept is look at what their idea of what how to pattern Dayton. So this year is homebrew. It's all focused on homebrew. And if it's something that interests you, you're going to have a great time. Maybe if you can't come every year, like I can't come every year, I'll pick the ones that are most interesting to me, and I'll make the trip from here on out for sure.
So which vendors were the most interesting for you to talk to?
Actually, less on the vendor side and more on the interest group side. I've really been, I've spent a lot of time at the D-Star booth learning about those, the new equipment and stuff that I haven't experienced yet. I guess some of the GMSK modem vendors and whatnot on the D-Star side. And then the AMSAT booth, I spent a lot of time there, and they're more of an interest group than a vendor per se, but they're certainly driving activity towards vendors once you find out what it is you need to become involved. I also experienced the demonstration on satellite pass communications, and I thought that was just incredible, and kudos to the AMSAT group for putting that together.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much. Have a safe trip home.
All right, thanks.
I am standing in the Tapper booth with Steve, N7HPR, president of Tapper. These guys are generally on the forefront of what's coming next in amateur radio. Steve, how's Dayton going so far?
Dayton's going great. There's just a phenomenal attendance here and a phenomenal interest. So we're having a great time this year.
So we address a lot of things for newer and younger hams and folks who like to play with the latest in technology in amateur radio, and you guys are all about that. So tell us, what's Tapper doing these days? What's new and exciting this year?
Okay, so Tapper is really the experimenters club or group or association. So we are always about enabling people and helping them experiment. So of course, the biggest buzz phrase is software-defined radio. And of course, everywhere you look, there's all kinds of software-defined radio. So Tapper was one of the first that was getting on the forefront of software-defined radio back in 2000. So we literally had talks going all the way back to the year 2000. So what do we have today here at the booth? Several examples of software-defined radio. All of these are open hardware, open software. So if anybody has any desire to learn, get under the hood, we have it for you.
Outstanding. So for somebody who's just starting out with an interest in software-defined radio, where do they generally start?
Well, this great thing we call the internet, and you usually do a Google search and you put in software-defined radio. But if you want to experiment with it, probably the easiest, cheapest way to get started is these dongles that are meant for digital TV, and we call them RTL dongles or what have you. If you Google RTL dongle or RTL software-defined radio, you'll see these dongles and you'll see a plethora of software that'll run them. Now, these dongles are receive only, but they get you started, and you can tune them through different frequencies. You can tune them to ham frequencies, non-ham frequencies, see what's out there, and you can have a lot of fun for about $20.
Outstanding. Now, is Tapper showing off anything new this year?
Yes, we are. We've got several things beyond SDR. For example, another thing in the experimenters realm is they like to keep very accurate time. Okay, so with very accurate time around the world, we can do these very elaborate communications protocols. So we have a whole series of what we call timing products, and we've introduced a new RF switch that basically can take any RF frequencies or even 1 PPS signals or 10 megahertz signals and distribute it throughout the shack for your test equipment, tie everything, and synchronize everything.
Outstanding. So since you guys are on the forefront and always looking forward, what's next? Software-defined radio is the hot thing today. Hopefully everybody's going to catch up to that at some point. But what are you guys looking at next?
So it's interesting because we always have our eyesight on the horizon and we're trying to see what pops up over there. Nothing really is jumping out, let's say. But what I've been observing, and I've kept my eye on that horizon because I'm trying to say, okay, what is that? What can I put my finger on? I think really the answer is combining things. We're seeing more and more integration. So it's not one thing. It's taken a lot of the things that we know today. I mean, gosh, the computing power we can buy today for such a low cost, Beagle Bones, Raspberry Pis. So now we've got the computing power in a very small package for a very low cost. Now you're starting to see things go into smaller and smaller packages doing more and more things. So I think what's really on the horizon is basically a smartphone type of device that's really ham radio instead of being phone. I mean, what I would hope to see, and there's several people working on it, go on Kickstarter and look at the Pocket SDR project. This is a great example. All open software, but basically it's apps running on a touch screen doing HF radio. How cool is that?
It is absolutely cool. And that's one of the things that we sometimes get disappointed that we don't see the manufacturers catching up with those technologies as quickly. There are things that my smartphone has done for years that, the big three can't compete with yet. And that's kind of the forefront and what we enjoy seeing.
Well, and don't wait around for anybody, quite frankly. I mean, big three or little three or whatever, the basic building blocks exist today. You can put them together, a little bit of glue, a little bit of software, and you have it all together. And then write about it. So probably one of the best products that Tapper has is not only do we have the booth here at Dayton Hamvention, but take a look at the Digital Communications Conference. We do that every September. This year it kind of rolled into the first week of October. But the Digital Communications Conference, in conjunction with the ARRL, we do a call for papers. People talk about their projects. It gets published in a paper proceedings, and we video record the talk, and we put it up on the internet. The past 5-6 years of the Digital Communications Conference is online. I invite you to go up there, take a look at some of those talks, see what it's like. More than anything, come to the DCC. It's a great opportunity to socialize, talk about your project. If you don't talk about it, we have a demo room. Bring your stuff. Set it up. It's free. I mean, it's free to demo, but of course there is a cost associated to the conference because we got to pay for the hotel.
Outstanding. So if I wanted to learn more about Tapper, what website would I go to?
Okay, very easy, www.tapr, and that's Tango Alpha Papa Romeo.org.
All right, outstanding. So you as a Dayton participant, what are some of the things that you are personally interested in looking at while you're here?
You know, it's interesting because now that I'm more in a leadership position in amateur radio, it's not so much that I don't have as much time on the bench as I used to. I was much a contributor, making projects, talking about them, writing about them. My job now is helping people get to that level, all right? So I go around, I talk to a lot of people, I encourage people, I invite people, and say, here, this is what Tapper's all about. If you're an experimenter, we're experimenters, let's get our heads together. There's nothing, I'll tell you what, I haven't seen an experimenter that's a lone wolf, okay? And the hacker ethic is very alive and well in amateur radio, and part of that hacker ethos is sharing. And I'll tell you what, that's what Tapper's about. It's about sharing. And that's what we want to do, is invite people that want to work together, whether, you know, if we can see you at the DCC, great. If we can see you at Hamvention, great. But if anything, we can see you on the internet, videos, exchange, anything to contribute and advance the radio art.
Well, outstanding. I picked up in Hack RF yesterday that I look forward to dipping my toe into the SER water, so I have a feeling I may become a member soon.
Then make sure you have a podcast with Michael Osman on that Hack RF. And Michael, actually, at our banquet last night, gave a wonderful talk about the hacker ethos and how it is very similar to amateur radio. We did video record it. We'll get it up on the net, so hopefully, you know, it'll be up on the net about the time this podcast hits it. But I invite everybody to look for Michael Osman's talk about how he found amateur radio. And, if you're part of the hacker ethos, or you got it one foot in one and one in the other, I'll tell you what, it's a lot of the same culture, and there's no reason why we can't be doing the same things. It's all about having fun. It's all about learning.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of Hamvention.
And you too. Thanks for chatting.
I am standing in front of Solar 24, where we have some new exciting portable solar power products with Dr. Jim Wolter, W9BWC. Hello, sir.
How do you do? And thanks for the chance to talk to your audience. What we have done is integrate solar power with energy storage along with microprocessor control. Our original concept could be best summarized as our patent teaches: distributed energy storage and power quality control. What that means, instead of having one big battery up at the battery house, which can be a real problem, especially if they decide to rapidly disassemble, if we had 10,000 solar panels out, we would have 10,000 batteries, each one with its own microprocessor control. That's an advanced notion and is waiting for its time to come. Here at the Hamvention, what we're doing is introducing our micro power supplies, which basically are made for anything from QRP rigs all the way up to HF rigs, as long as you're willing to turn the power knob back to 50%.
So tell us a little bit more about these little modules I see on your table.
Basically what we've done is use monocrystalline solar panels because they're the most efficient. We have picked as energy storage lithium iron phosphate. Very careful that you say all that, because they are the safest lithium battery that you can buy. Ours have been tested by UN certified laboratories. It's called UN 38.3, which is a standard that allows us to ship these products anywhere in the world that believes in UN, and it can be air, sea, or land. So we can ship from the internet, and we're here in Dayton enjoying, I think, a very, very nice reception for our product. So our signature product here at Dayton is something we call the mini power supply. It's ideally suited for QRP operation. I've got an 817 over here that I'm using as a demonstration unit. Basically, with a 30-watt solar panel and my power box, you could run continuously 24 hours a day, as long as you said I'll go to bed at 3 or 4 in the morning. So basically, we're here selling a solar power supply for ham radio service. But that service, actually, and it troubles my heart to think that there should be maybe 1,000 of these in Kathmandu right now, because if we had these things distributed amongst emergency service, first responders, what have you, there would be no power problems running communications. And so that our vision in starting the company really began by looking at what is called O3B, the other 3 billion people who circle the equator and have no power whatsoever. But they are now getting an internet signal from the O3B project. The satellites are up, the signals are coming down. Now, at this point, they're coming into dish antennas and they'll be distributed locally. But basically, what we're saying is that we are going to enable 3 billion people who have no power whatsoever, have been living, I'm sure, a wonderful life for the last 10,000 years. But as we hold this interview, we're going to find maybe 1 or 2 or 3 kids born who will become a PhD in physics at Caltech, will become a PhD engineer from MIT, will become an MD from Johns Hopkins. He'll do it in his village, he'll do it in his language, and he'll do it with a series of lessons that come over the internet, and they'll be free. So education is going to change, and this is a generational thing. It's going to happen in the next 25 years, but those kids are being born today. They have the internet, they just don't have the power, but the sun shines all day, every day on the equator. So one of our visions is to really see this product basically reach distribution in third world countries. So it's great to run ham radio, and that should go with it. But our heart's desire right now, we're older, and we'd like to give something back. And this is our way of saying thank you for everything that's been given to us.
Well, wonderful. So the unit itself is kind of an all-in-one box. You have, as you mentioned, a battery and your solar charge controller plugged in. Tell us a little bit more about how much storage capacity there is in the battery and a little bit more about the charge controller itself.
The storage battery itself, we've gone to a modular approach to energy storage. I talked about getting UN 38.3 approval. It's on our single pack, which is what's called a 4S1P, meaning it has 4 series cells. 1P means there's only 1 row of them. And that is a 40 watt hour, 3200 milliampere hour battery pack. 3200 milliampere battery pack. So that battery running, for example, a 5 watt QRP rig, and thinking of the duty cycle maybe at 50% or something like that, you'd probably be running 5 watts, and we could run 8 hours on just our box because it's 40 watt hours of energy storage. The really, really strong story to tell here is actually about the charge controller. You're looking at it, and it's a circuit board, but it's a very special circuit board in the fact that it's all software defined, and we have left probably 90% of the space in that microprocessor for external applications. We have what are known as prototyping areas on the board where you could put your favorite app in. It could be Bluetooth, it could be a monitor, a bit streaming monitor for the output of the system. If you cared to, you could run a weather station or a local LAN internet station in a faraway village, basically by using our expansion areas, because the microprocessor has got all kinds of power. So we would power that from the box, and we could run radio links. We could run a bunch of repeater stations. As you know, that's becoming very popular. And so I see us linking up people that have no other way except to walk to greet each other, to pick up a microphone and treat it as if it were a phone.
Outstanding. So what is the processor that you use on these things? And do you guys have a development kit for people who are interested in playing with that?
We haven't yet. The microprocessor, we have actually used 2 vendors. We have a larger board. Our larger board will actually control 1,600 watts of PV, and that's a linear microprocessor. The one that's on this one is actually made by TI. You're looking for the PIC number? Is that what you want? You'd have to ask my electrical engineer over here, because if I said it's a 4020, he would say no, it isn't. So I'm not at that level. I'm the thinker, he's the doer, and we have the system after about 2.5 years of work, completely ready for commercial service. We are in a position now that we can take any sized order that I can finance. and we could build 100 or 10,000 of these things because our board supplier is high volume, our battery supplier is high volume, the cases that we're using and the connectors and everything else come right out of DigiKey or Aero Electronics or whatever else. So there is no shortage of any of the components. We would have to ramp up in terms of assembly operations, but basically we're not building the boards. They're being built in a very advanced board house, and it's all surface mount technology.
So in the box themselves, do you guys have all of the battery protection, low voltage disconnect, over current protection, under voltage protection, and everything that one needs? I mean, is it a completely self-contained unit?
I'm trying to think of something we have that you didn't mention, but basically what we've done is use a protected battery to start with. So our battery uses what's known as a poly switch. It's a wonderful new device. It's a device that only has a 4 milliohm insertion loss, and when it's over current, it turns to an amorphous state from a crystalline state. It goes to about 120 kiloohms. So it limits current very nicely. It takes maybe 30 to 60 milliseconds to restore once you clear the fault. But then we go into a box where we have the output of our system running through self-protecting MOSFETs. The self-protecting MOSFET that we've chosen here because we were making a rig that we wanted to span the whole scape between QRP and an HF rig is a 20 amp output system. If you run 22, 23 amps, those MOSFETs basically open the circuit, turn on a red light, and tell you you've just exceeded the power limit of the unit. So if you stay at 20 amps or under, it continues to run as long as you feed solar power in and you haven't exceeded the battery's capacity.
So unlike a lot of devices, and this device is, I don't know, maybe the size of 2 decks of playing cards or 2x2, it's fairly small for its size, but what you're telling me is it's built that I could run a 100-watt portable HF radio off of it if I needed to, obviously not for very long, but that won't shut it down.
Well, the advantage of what we've done is that we have set it up so we can add parallel battery packs. So our 40 watt hour battery can become 80, can become 120, can become 160. And the reason why this is important is that our microprocessor control circuit controls all of the parallel battery packs as well. When it looks out there, it doesn't know whether it's got 1, 2, 3, or 4 cells in parallel. It just sees one common voltage, which of course is tied together by the copper wire. So our battery pack is very expandable, and we sell this, we call it the XBAT, or external battery pack. And so you can multiply the power and with 160 watt 4 of the battery packs and a 150 watt solar panel. And I always tell people, turn the power knob down to 50%, you lose maybe a dB or something, in signal strength by going from 100 to 50 watts. But you'll gain twice the power on your solar and battery system. So I think the watchword in anything solar is to rationalize the load. In other words, do demand-side management first. And whatever you can do to conserve power, simply extend your runtime.
Outstanding. So if our listeners wanted to order one of these, where would they go online?
Go to www.solar24.pw. And there's an interesting story there when my webmaster came up and we were looking for a nice, easy to remember URL. He said, Jim, he says, I got solar24.pw. I said, you did what? He said, you didn't think you were going to get solar24.com or .co or .us or .na, did you? I said, well, I don't know. He said, there's a lot of people running tanning salons that have taken out websites on Solar24. So he says, I got .pw. I said, well, what does that mean? He says, .power. Solar24.pw is .power. So welcome to our website. We're building it out now. There's a lot of useful information on it. We have instructions, and we will be kitting these things for people that like to build it. The sad story is my contract manufacturer is assembling all these parts that come in pre-made and only charging me $10 a box. So it isn't that cheap to send you the parts. It'd be a lot like L-Craft or whatever. It's pretty much pre-made. You just have to enjoy putting it together. We have all flying lead connections so the wires don't show, and And so it might be fun to put it together because you understand what you built after you've looked at it. And we've got a lot of technology in our website. We're building it out every day.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to hearing myself on the air.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
I'm standing here in front of the Pignology booth with Nick N3WG, friend of the Photime Amateur Radio Podcast. Nick, you look exhausted here at the end of day 2.
Yeah, I can't feel my feet any longer. I'm losing my voice, I think. Last year I lost my voice entirely at the end of Saturday. It's been busy, long days. What's the upside? Not exactly sure yet, but I'm sure something will come to me. Met a lot of nice people, though.
So how have people responded to the Pac-10?
They're very interested in it. They like the unique way we did the Ballon and the 9-to-1 Unun. I think we got a winner with it. Time will tell. But there was definitely interest in it. George gave a presentation on it that was well received, standing room only. And we were flooded with people afterwards, so that was good.
Outstanding. Well, I hope you get some rest tonight so you can actually try to enjoy Hamvention tomorrow and have safe travels back to California.
Yeah, we usually take Sunday off, and I believe we're going to the Air Force Museum at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base tomorrow. So we're going to relax on Sunday and then head out. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, it's day 3, and I'm standing here at the exciting Elecraft booth, always one of the most busy places at Dayton, and this year especially so with the release of the brand new K3S transceiver. I'm here with Eric Schwartz, WA6HHQ, one of the founders of Elecraft. Eric, how's Dayton going so far?
Oh boy, this has been our best Dayton ever, and that sounds like something we say every year, but actually with the K3S, it's been incredible.
Why don't you tell us about the new radio?
Yeah, the K3S is the most, my voice is going here, so excuse me after 3 days of Dayton. It's the latest version of our K3. We've now upgraded the K3 with performance improvements and also usability improvements. It's an evolution on the product where we've added considerable improvement to our performance of close-in dynamic range, much quieter phase noise on our local oscillators. We've added a USB interface that has full sound and controls instead of a serial cable for the radio. In addition, we still support the older direct audio, line-in, line-out connections, and serial control for if you want to keep using that. But this is a single cable solution for most people now to hook up to their digital mode, software programs, things like that. We've also added additional improvements on the actual RF board for the radio, better sensitivity, especially on the higher bands, 6 and 12 meters. And also redesigned things like the audio output circuitry for even better audio. And we added coverage now for the new 630 meter ham band too. The new synthesizers and updates to our main boards allows you to go down in the 470 kilohertz region and below and listen down there. We have a low level output so you can drive an external amplifier if you want one for that band too. So really quite a bit of new stuff on the radio. And going with it, we've added some upgrades to our P3 pan adapter. We've added an option for a built-in watt meter display and transmit envelope waveforms, so you can see your modulation envelope, and with a directional coupler that comes with that option, you can put that after your radio or your amplifier, so you can make sure you're not overdriving your amplifier too. So you have a real-time display of that in addition to our regular pan adapter on the P3.
Outstanding. Now, one of the things, a lot of our listeners own KX3s, myself included, and one of the things that was really cool about the radio is that I'm able to get almost 200 kilohertz of IQ data out to be able to use it with a band scope or other software-defined receiver applications. Do I have that ability with the K3S?
K3S also is 200 kilohertz out. It's not IQ output, it's actually an 8.2 megahertz IF output. If you actually want to use IQ output, and actually this has been the case from when we first had the IF output, there's several adapters that will give you IQ. They'll convert the 8.2 megahertz IF output down to IQ baseband. LP Pan from Telepost Inc. actually is probably the most popular box doing that. So we can give you IQ if you want to go directly into a sound card, or if you want to go for higher performance into our pan adapter at 8.2 megahertz, of course, you can do that too. So you have the best of both worlds.
Wonderful. Now, one of the other things I noticed with the announcement is I saw some of the features for the new radio are available for original K3 owners. Can you talk about that?
Oh, absolutely. We want to make sure that we provide as much of a upgrade path to our current K3 owners. Obviously, we want to attract new purchasers, but we also want to keep our customer base happy and have them be able to get as much performance out of their radio as it evolves. And we've done this with the K3 from ever since we've introduced it. As we introduced new firmware or made available new hardware upgrade mods or new modules, that radio we sold 6 or 7 years after introduction was a very much improved radio over the original one, but you could bring your original ones up to very close to that level. In the case of the K3S improvements, you can take the new synthesizers and plug those into your old K3. You can buy the additional second preamplifier we added, a new KXV3 board. You can plug that into your old K3. We'll be offering later this year, as we get caught up on our K3S production, additional boards like the I/O board that adds the USB I/O for data mode and in control and audio. That will also be able to be added to it too. So we have a lot of incremental additions that you can take your old K3 and upgrade that. We want to make sure you can't get all the way to a K3S, but you can get darn close, and that's really the goal here.
Well, that's one of the things we really love about your products. You guys have almost an unparalleled commitment to your customers. I know my KX3 and my amplifier have been back to your offices to have certain upgrades that were made after my release because I have a relatively early serial number. And actually, I want to thank you guys for being so involved with your end users. The software updates are phenomenal, and you guys really take care of us.
Well, that's really important to us. I mean, we want to stay close to our customers, and we listen to them, good and bad. I mean, if you have a complaint or anything, I want to hear that, or my support guys want to hear it. Our goal is to fix your problems and also to keep you happy, obviously keep you coming back for us to keep us in business, but the only way that's going to be happening if you guys are happy and you tell your friends. So we want to make sure that we give you as much, both in terms of support, upgradability, as much as possible. It's within our ability to do that. So we'll keep doing that going forward.
All right, I know you guys just released a brand new radio, but is there anything else on the horizon we should be looking for?
Oh, I'll always have new things sometime in the future, but nothing next week. we're pretty busy with the K3S right now, so I think that'll be the major new thing you see for a little while.
All right, well, I look forward to talking to you at Dayton next year. Now, you here as a ham, is there anything you were looking for at Dayton?
Oh, gosh, I think I got about 10 feet out of my booth the whole Dayton here. We've been mobbed the whole time. Somebody posted on Twitter a picture of our booth on Saturday saying typical Elecraft pileup, and literally it was. We could barely move. So this is the first day on Sunday where it's a little more quiet, though quite busy here, that I've been able to actually get out and talk to people like yourself a little bit and got out of the chair where I'm taking orders in the booth. So I haven't had a chance to walk around too much, but I'll probably sneak out later on today and see what I can find.
Wonderful. Well, Eric, thank you very much for the products and for taking the time to talk to Photime.
Well, thanks a lot for stopping by. I'll look forward to hearing from you in the future.
All right, thank you. Across from the Elecraft booth, you often find a lot of vendors that build accessories for the wonderful Elecraft radios, and I am standing at QRP Works, the manufacturers of Keylog Go and the Ham Central Terminal. This year, they've released a new product called the Sidecar. I'm here with the operators of the business, Steve, KB3SII, and Shell, KF0UR. Gentlemen, how's Dayton going?
It's going great. Very exciting this year. Hot and humid as usual, but very nice.
Can't complain about the crowds. We sold all the products that we brought to the show. That worked out fine for us.
Outstanding. So I know you guys released the Sidecar, which is a little unit that actually attaches to the KX3. Why don't you tell me about it?
Well, the Sidecar is made specifically for the KX3. We call it the Swiss Army knife of portable operations because it has so many different things in it. It displays the decoded CW, PSK, and RIDI text that the KX3 has on a much bigger screen that you can freeze and scroll back so you can easily read it. It has a log built in for 1,000 QSOs that you can export when you get home into an ADIF file. It has message generation in there, rig control, contest features, Summit on the Air features, County Hunter features, the list goes on and on. It's a lot of different features for a lot of different users.
The Sidecar only weighs 5 ounces. It attaches to the KX3 in about 2 seconds with no tools. Very low power consumption, sunlight readable, and 5 levels of backlight. So you can use it for night operations also.
Outstanding. And how has the response been?
Fantastic. As Steve said, we've just about sold out of everything we brought, and we have some more orders coming in online from around the world.
We're getting orders from all over the world. The website went live on Friday night, and we'll definitely be busy when we get back home after the show.
All right, if our listeners wanted to order one of your products, where would they go?
They would go to www.qrpworks.com.
Wonderful. Well, gentlemen, is there anything that you are looking for at Dayton while you're here?
Yes, but we can't leave the booth.
That's the same problem for me.
All right, well, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of Dayton.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Finally, for the first time in 20-plus episodes, we're going to speak to Richard Lenore. Did I get that right, Lenore?
You did.
Richard Lenore of Main Trading Company, our faithful sponsor. Your first time at Dayton, all the way up from Texas. What do you think?
It's a 900-mile trip one way. It's a grueling trip, pulling the trailer with about 4,000 radios in it. But it has exceeded our expectations. We've set a record. We've never sold this many radios ever, not at a show.
I know this was a big deal for you guys to come up. Watching your post on Facebook and all the emails and whatnot, and I know that every time I've come by to interview you for the last 2 days, you guys have been swamped.
Yes, we have been swamped. There's some local hams from Paris, Texas here, so we've recruited some of those guys to help us. Especially yesterday, we had 6 people writing tickets at one time. Radios, accessories, it was just nuts, all day long.
So what have you seen as the biggest sellers this year?
Oh, probably the biggest seller this year was the new Kenwood, the 590 SG. And of course the handhelds, any of the Chinese handhelds, the high power one, the Bofang and all that, that's still a good seller for us.
Well, I got to tell you, we really appreciate your involvement with the Photime Amateur Radio Podcast. We appreciate you coming to Dayton. Is it safe to say you're going to be back next year?
I will definitely be back. But one thing I've noticed here, our booth space is too small. We'll have to get at least twice the space next year.
Outstanding. So as a ham, have you had a chance to get away from the booth and go walk around?
Just a little, kind of before the commercial vendors open up. And I've been here several times as a spectator, and Dayton is awesome. I mean, it's awesome.
Well, Richard, thank you so much for you do for us and for the community. Have a safe trip back to Texas, and we'll keep sending people your way.
Thank you very much. 7-3s, y'all.
All right, thanks. Back at the Tapper booth with Mike Osman, the inventor of the Hack RF, which is an absolutely wonderful gateway drug into software-defined receivers. And radios, actually. Mike, I understand you just got your call sign 60 days ago.
That's correct. I've finally decided to bite the bullet and go take the test.
Outstanding. AD0NR. So how long has the Hack RF been in production now?
It's been in production, it's been a long process to get here. Many years of figuring out how to build such a thing, and a couple years of development and beta. And the first beta boards were released in the summer of 2013. But in the fall of 2014, I finally started shipping HackRF1, which is the commercial version with the nice injection molded plastic enclosure and everything. And right now, actually, the third production of HackRF1 is in process. And I have a number of resellers around the world who have them in stock, and it's all rolling.
So talk about, if you could, the HackRF is a wonderful device for somebody who is really interested in understanding more about software-defined radio applications. What did you have in mind when you designed it?
Well, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. One of the things that I really wanted to support was education. I teach a 2-day crash course in software-defined radio. Mostly I teach at information security conferences because that's the community that I come from. And so I try to get more people in the InfoSec community into software-defined radio to figure out how to use these modern tools to support the security testing of diverse wireless technologies. But anyone can get into software-defined radio. If you're an amateur radio operator or a wireless researcher of any sort, if you're just somebody who wants to tinker with wireless things and experiment with new communication systems, software-defined radio is the best way to do it. And I've been in the process of putting my 2-day course online, actually, on greatscottgadgets.com. I have a video series called SDR with HackRF that is an ongoing video series where I occasionally post a new lesson and assign homework and try to make the content that I do in my 2-day class available to the whole world under an open content license. So getting back to your original question, one of the motivations for me to build HackRF1 in the first place was to have the right tool for my class, the right tool for people who want to learn SDR, the right tool for people who want to experiment with the broadest range of digital radio technologies that they possibly can. And additionally, I just wanted the device for myself. I wanted to have something in my laptop bag that I could carry around with me everywhere and not have to have a million different pieces of equipment for a million different radio technologies that I want to hack on. I want to have one box that's small enough and low power enough that I can just carry it around in my laptop bag and plug it in and have it powered over USB and so forth. But if there's one overriding reason why I developed HackRF1, it's because I just thought that the world needed open source hardware for software-defined radio. We have a lot of wonderful open source software for software-defined radio, but prior to HackRF1, there wasn't any open source hardware for software-defined radio, and I think that's a very important thing that the community needs.
So tell us about what are the specs for reception and for transmission with the HackRF1?
The top level specs, the things that are most important to know are the range of operation, the range of frequencies of operation, and the sample rate. It operates from 1 megahertz to 6 gigahertz, and actually just this weekend I announced that that's the new spec. I used to say it was, well, originally I was trying to design so it would be 100 megahertz to 6 gigahertz, and then I figured out it would be 30 megahertz to 6 gigahertz, and then it seemed to work pretty well down to 10 megahertz to 6 gigahertz. We keep moving this spec down and down and down. And it was 10 megahertz to 6 gigahertz for a long time, and then, but we noticed that we were actually able to optimize it so that it could work lower than that. But I wasn't 100% confident in that until we had a few productions going and we could actually see that performance consistently. So now we've seen that, and so I decided to lower the official spec. So now it's 1 megahertz to 6 gigahertz. You can tune over the 6 gigahertz band, and anywhere in there you can get 20 megahertz of bandwidth, transmit or receive. It's half duplex, so you can transmit or receive, but not both at the same time. And it's USB powered, so USB 2.0, you can just plug it into your laptop and go. And so those are the kind of the things you need to know. 20 megahertz of bandwidth, anywhere between 1 megahertz and 6 gigahertz, transmit or receive.
And approximately, I know it's a very small, low-powered board. Approximately how much power output do I get on transmit?
On transmit, it varies a little bit by the frequency range you're in, but the maximum transmit power you get in most bands is about 10 milliwatts. So it's not a lot of power. It's not really designed for operating in the traditional sense. It's designed for experimenting. I think of it as low-cost, uncalibrated test equipment that you can use. It's a signal generator and a signal analyzer, and you can produce any radio signal and you can analyze any radio signal on your bench, across the room. And if you want to do something bigger, higher power, you're going to have to do things like your own amplification and filtering, and take responsibility for the signal that you're producing.
So you had mentioned again your website. Tell us your website again and any other good sources online folks could go to learn more.
Sure, it's greatscottgadgets.com, and that's where you can find out all about HackRF and you can start watching my video series SDR with HackRF. I also recommend you check out GNU Radio at gnuradio.org, because that is the center of the open source software community for SDR. Pretty much everything that's going on in the software-defined radio world that is open source software is centered around GNU Radio. And it's a wonderful community of developers with a very active mailing list. Also, the HackRF community is pretty active with a mailing list and a very active IRC channel. So I recommend people get online, check out the video series, and start playing with open source SDR.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming to Dayton again. I know this wasn't necessarily your first home, but you guys have definitely been well adopted by us, and I look forward to talking to you next year.
Well, thanks for having me, and it's been wonderful. I feel like I've been welcomed into the amateur radio community more than I ever thought was possible, so thank you.
All right, thank you. Standing here with Mark, W8MDX of iPortable, makers of wonderful portable radio cases that are lightweight, weatherproof, and make things really easy to get your radios out. Mark, how's Dayton going?
Oh, Dayton's excellent. We've been coming up here for, actually 30 years, but we now have a booth selling products. We're from the Dayton area, so really enjoy the show every year.
Wonderful. So last year I bought one of your boxes and did a video of it on my YouTube channel, and then I come by the booth this year and see that you guys have really upgraded.
Yeah, we went, this year we went to commercial racks. Guys wanted to run to mount larger radios in these racks, so we made the shelves a little wider, and by doing that we found some commercial racks that we're now using for the housing of these.
Now, tell us about some of the extra features you guys, because it's not just a box. You guys actually add a lot of value to these boxes as well.
Right. These boxes are totally pre-wired to fit, any radio. Basically, you take a 100-watt mobile radio, use your mobile bracket, mount it to the shelf. There's an adjustable shelf, and then we have all the wiring in these boxes. So you put your whatever connector your radio needs, put your connector on it, mount the radio, and you're ready to go.
Outstanding. And I noticed you guys also have some pretty interesting looking portable antennas.
Yeah, we've got a new smart tactical antenna that we're introducing, which we take our antenna analyzer. We have a auto tune button on it now, so it's a 10 through 20 meter antenna. You go to the band that you want to operate on, put the frequency that you want in, and you hit the auto tune, and now the antenna will tune to that frequency.
And you were telling me that they are carbon fiber whips?
Yeah, we use our elements are carbon fiber, the stingers. So if it were to fall down or in a windstorm, they won't break or bend.
Wonderful. And if our listeners wanted to know more about your products, where would they go?
We're located on the web, www.iportableus.com.
All right, Mark, wonderful. Thanks for the time.
All right, thank you. Thanks for stopping. You guys are great.
All right, standing at the Bionics booth with Bion N6BG, the founder of Bionics, makers of wonderful APRS, well, everything. How's Dayton going?
Oh, it's been going very well for us.
So tell us what you brought to Dayton this year.
Primarily, we do a lot of APRS products, so we've been doing, our newest product is a balloon tracker this year for lightweight, high-altitude balloon launches. We've also got some new products for amateur radio fox hunting, which we're also very involved in.
Okay, and have you had an opportunity to leave your booth and go look around yourself?
Only for maybe about 5 or 10 minutes, so not very much that I've seen outside my booth.
Anything that you were looking for?
Nope, just kind of scoping out, seeing if there was any new, exciting products, and didn't really get to see anything that was too new, so unfortunately I didn't get to see all the show.
Is there anything you guys are working on you want our listeners to know about?
Well, we're definitely looking forward to doing more APRS-type products. We're excited about, like I said, the high-altitude balloon launches, and we're looking to add more direction-finding equipment. I'm really passionate personally about doing fox hunting. I've been doing that for a long time. We have a few transmitter modules and looking to also build some receiving gear soon, too. So tell us about the different trackers and TNCs that you offer. So we offer primarily 2 classifications of trackers. One is the Tiny Track line, which is meant to work with your own radio. So it's just a controller. You can combine it with a GPS, and it plugs into any 2-meter HT or mobile radio and makes it APRS ready. And then we also have our line of the Micro Tracks, which combine the radio with the controller and the GPS. So those are pretty much all you need ready to go. You just plug it into a cigarette lighter. They come pre-programmed with your call sign. Either throw batteries in it for the portable version or plug it into the cigarette lighter, and you got your car tracker ready.
All right, and if I wanted to buy your products, where would I go online?
We're available online at bionics.com. That's BYONICS.com.
All right, well, thank you. Safe travels back.
Very good. Thank you much. Good luck.
So when I lived in Washington, D.C., I had the opportunity to volunteer with a team called First Lego League, and it is a wonderful opportunity to get young people involved in engineering and problem solving. One of the things that I've loved at Dayton is that there is actually an entire booth here dedicated to First, and I'm standing here with Gloria, a member of
Power Stackers Robotics, an FTC team.
And these guys have home-built robots running around doing tasks, trying to solve problems. Tell us a little bit more about what First is.
So there's the 4 levels of First. There's the Junior FLL, the FLL, the FTC, and the FRC. Every level has a different challenge that they have to do in building robots or mechanisms that have to work, and they have to have fun doing it and learn engineering, and usually they involve their community and outreach and all kinds of stuff like that.
So tell us, what are the problems that your team is working on this year?
Well, our season actually just ended. We went to San Antonio and competed, but last season we had a challenge Cascade Effect. So we had to pick up the balls. There were two different size balls, like wiffle balls and golf balls, and we had to create a robot that would pick them up and drop them in tubes. There are 3 tubes, the 30 centimeter, the 60 centimeter, and the 90 centimeter. And then at the end of the match, we would try and pick up the tubes themselves, either by putting them on the ramp or lifting them with our robot.
Wonderful. And so at this level, at the FTC range, what is the approximate age range that folks are involved in?
It's usually ages 14 to 18, but we sort of are lenient. You can be like in middle school, starting like 6th or 7th grade up until you graduate high school.
And what are the kind of different disciplines of skills that you guys employ for these challenges?
For our robot, we learn engineering. We have to revise and use the engineering process. We have to program and use 3D CADing. On computers, we use PTC specifically. We do business skills. We have to get our own sponsors and fundraise. I think that's it.
Software engineering?
Yeah, most of it's for engineering.
And electronics?
Yeah, we do a lot of STEM concept things. So we do we engineer, we have to brainstorm, and the electronics we do, it's actually being revised next year. We usually use Robot C to program, but next year we're using Java. So we're going to have to learn that this summer.
Outstanding. And how long have you been participating?
This is, I think, going to be my 5th year in FIRST.
And how has this shaped what you're going to do next?
I actually don't know what I want to be when I grow up as a career, but I have actually started to think about I might want to be like an engineer. I really think I would enjoy doing that.
If it makes you feel any better, I haven't decided what I want to be when I grow up either. I think what you guys are doing is great, and I want to thank you guys for coming to Dayton and helping get the message out. If one of our listeners wanted to know more about FIRST as an organization, where would they go?
For FIRST in general, you can go to usfirst.org. That's the whole FIRST website. You can also probably ask any team in your area. They'll be happy to tell you about it. We have a website and an email and all kinds of stuff too. We're pretty out there, so just Power Stackers will give you any information if you need to know, and probably the DRSS teams as well. If you need any information, we're always happy to help.
Now, you had mentioned that you also learn about community outreach. Talk about some of the things you do with that.
Actually, at Hamvention, we count this as an outreach, so we have to get in communication with all kinds of leaders and people setting up different events. So, we do the Tech Fest, we do Hamvention. We were at Space Fest yesterday at the Air Force Museum. We do outreaches at schools, and we go to a lot of our sponsors. So we've gone to UES, a company around here, and the Dayton Children's Hospital, stuff like that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for what you guys do, and thank you for talking to Photime.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time as well.
So last year at Dayton, we walked around and kept asking why aren't people taking modern smart and tablet technologies, attaching them to the radios, and making them available to everyone. Well, I'm standing here with a man who is trying to answer that question. Chris, KD2BMH for Algoram Radio, the founder of the White Box Radio. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Why don't you tell us a little about what White Box Radio is?
Okay, so I was going backpacking many years ago, or about 3 years ago, and I brought my first smartphone with me, and I didn't really know much about hams at the time. But I'm a computer engineer by trade. So I had my smartphone, I'm in the backcountry, and I'm an Eagle Scout, and I'm wondering why I can't use my phone in my emergency preparedness mode if I broke my leg or something. So I came back, and I started researching and figuring out what we would need. Was it a technical limitation? Was it a political limitation? And I stumbled upon the amateur radio crew, and in particular this group called TAPR, Tucson Amateur Packet Radio Network, and they connect. They're the people who make software-defined radio. A lot of the cutting-edge software-defined radio tech come from them. They also invented this thing called the terminal node controller back in the day that kind of is in part of all of our cell phones. So I started talking with them and started building devices. I'm now on my third year working on it, and the architecture is really based on how a smartphone works. I love to rip apart smartphones and see what's going on the inside. So in your phone, you actually have two computers. There's one that's called the application processor that's running Android or iOS, and that's really a solved problem. You can go to Texas Instruments and you can buy a package from them, and it's got all the parts, and you can just throw it in whatever. But the cell baseband modem is completely locked down, and it's owned by Qualcomm, or it's owned by Samsung, and we can't use them on the ham bands, and we can't put big amplifiers on them. So I decided to make my own open source baseband modem that was aimed at amateur market. So we're on the third generation now. The first two were very prototypey, just on the bench. None of them had amplifiers, but the new design has a 100 milliwatt amplifier on it. It has 4 bandpass filters. It operates from 50 megahertz to 1000 megahertz, and so you can slide in the bandpass filters for whichever band you're interested in. And it's running a small embedded UC Linux system. So the new one has USB on the go. You can plug in sound cards, you can plug in Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS units. The idea is that you can use your phone for the foreseeable future, use your phone as the interface to access the radio. So you connect to the radio as a Wi-Fi access point when you're on the go, and then you open up a web browser and you can just talk right into the web browser. We use WebSockets and the Web Audio API. So, we're trying to mix together modern, software tech that the younger generation knows about and mash it with the older stuff that the ham guys have been in charge of, but I want the ability to have a big amp on my smartphone and take it in the backcountry. So that's kind of the idea.
Outstanding. So basically what we have here on the table is a unit that's about maybe 3x2 decks of cards standing together, and you just basically plug a smart device into it.
That's right, yeah. So it's 6 inches by 3 inches by 1 inch tall. That's the current design. We can shrink it down even smaller, but I'm using the smallest available parts that you can actually use with a contract manufacturer, like that you can easily get availability with. We do want to ultimately make a device that fits in your pocket, that looks like a smartphone but has an HT antenna sticking out and a nice 5-watt amp. But it's going to take us a couple more generations to get there. But the hardware is now at a point where people could really start to mess with it. It's totally open source. You can build on top of it. And we're looking for collaborators. People are interested. And it's going to be coming out in the next couple of months. So you should stay on top of it and keep in touch.
Oh, we've been watching. You guys, the videos that I've seen online that you guys have done and the stuff from Dayton last year have been wonderful. How do you power the box?
So the new device can be powered from 6 volts up to 26 volts. So you could use 4 AA batteries all the way up to putting it, attaching it right to the fuse box in your car and power it off of the 12-volt battery there. It has the proper input protection so that way you can have the alternator, right on the same line as it. And, so that's the idea. What I've learned over the past few years is that the smartphone has a 3.7 volt battery inside of it, and that's just not powerful enough to handle a big amplifier. So we need to go to bigger power, that's expected, and we'll figure out how to fit it in the right form factor. But for now, it's kind of choose your own adventure of how you'd like to turn this into, I'd love to see what people are going to do with it.
Outstanding. And you said a couple of months. What is the price point looking like it might be?
We're looking at $500 per unit. We're actually going to take a cut on our margin to get it out there at the beginning. That's like the price when we make thousands, but it's a new design, so we need to vet the RF portion and design validate it and have people break it. And we're looking for who wants to mess with this. We're going to know the call signs of everyone who buys these, and we'll remember you guys, and we'll be working with you to figure out what are all the issues and, replacement hardware, whatever, to get everybody the right gear to really play with this and have a lot of fun.
So in the first commercial product, are you going through FCC certification, or is this more going to be like test equipment experimental class?
So we are not going to put this in the chamber to get FCC certified right now, but it was completely designed to meet all of the FCC specs. There's actually not much in terms of amateur radio FCC specs. I mean, we're supposed to be building our own gear, but we did on this design make sure that we could hit 60 decibels down on all spurious emissions, so that way you can power it with over 25 watts. So we were pairing it with a 30-watt amplifier on the demonstration right here from East Down Microwave. We want to build our own amplifier that can cover the entire range of frequencies that the board's capable of, but that's a whole other project, and we figured we get this out the door. It has 100 milliwatts, so it has enough to drive something bigger. There's always more to do, but this seems compelling enough to get into the market.
Well, that sounds awesome. I know we've been watching this project for a while, and we're really looking forward to seeing it come out. If we wanted to know more, where do we go online?
There's a couple places. Probably the best is my partner and I now have a website called algoram.com. That's ALGORAM. And we have a blog up there. I also have my GitHub repo, all the source code, all the schematics, all the FPGA code. Everything's available for you to fork, play with. There's tons of tests and simulations and many cool things to look at. I have a Facebook page, but I'll admit I'm the techie. I'm not the best at updating things. So I would stick with the Algoram thing. If you're very interested in early adopter hardware, you can go on my website for the radio project, which is linked from Algoram, and I have a place to enter your email address, and those are the first people who will be notified when we are ready to start shipping boards.
Outstanding. Well, we look forward to talking to you again next year. Really looking forward to this coming out, and we'll check back. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Jeremy, we really appreciate you giving us your 3-day adventure at the Hamvention 2015. Thanks for the updates throughout the weekend, for driving back and forth, for giving me some excellent material to share here with the listener. I didn't have to do any editing. Jeremy sent me clean files every single night, the pictures. Dude, we just genuinely appreciate you sharing that with us. I think you had some drivers and some helpers along as well, so thanks to those guys. I'm not going to call them out on the air, but we really appreciate them. We appreciate MTC Radio for showing up at Dayton as their first-time vendor. And Richard, congratulations on the big sales days. And if you guys thought I was country, go back and listen to Richard one more time, right? Well, that's how it is in Texas, I guess. Guys, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you sharing along with your friends the Photon Podcast, reviewing the program on your favorite listening application. You can also comment on this and any other episode on the comment tab right there at the very top of the show notes page. We'll be back in just a couple of weeks. We've got a DMR episode coming up along with the DLP Digital coaxial cable manufacturers we're going to be chatting with as well. So, guys, stay tuned. Thank you again for listening. God bless you. We'll catch you next time. 73, y'all.
Thanks for downloading, listening, and subscribing to AmateurRadio15.com presents Photon, the other ham radio podcast. You can find our past episodes, web links, and more at AmateurRadio15.com. That's AmateurRadio15.com. Follow us on Twitter at Photon Podcast. And remember to visit our show sponsor, Main Trading Company, at mtcradio.com. Till next time, 73s.